Hey everyone, Nubkeks here, and in today's video, I'm going to give you my sort of raid lead perspective, talk you through sort of my thought process on Sire Denathrius Heroic. Hopefully helpful to your guilds if you're progressing on this, or if you're trying to pug ahead of the curve, or yeah, anything like that, try to get that achievement and take Sire Denathrius down on Heroic. Drops really good loot. So it's obviously super worth doing, dropping those 220 item level weapon tokens, really nice. But yeah, I'm playing Shadow Priest, and there's me as well. But yeah, if you guys want to see the full sort of raw footage of this and our voice comms and all of that, I will have that up on Patreon. I'll stick that up there, the raw footage for patrons if you're interested. But in today's video, I'm going to talk you through. I'm actually going to rewind very slightly, and we're going to do this throughout the fight. Because basically for Sire Denathrius Phase 1, certainly on normal, that's the hardest part of the fight. I think on Heroic Phase 3 is the hardest part. But he essentially does a very set rotation of spells. So he's going to do a Cleansing Pain, then he does a Blood Price, another Cleansing Pain, then a Ravage, and then he repeats that 3 times in a row. So Cleansing Pain, Blood Price, Cleansing Pain, Ravage. So here's the Blood Price. This throws you up in the air. You can see these Burden of Sin stacks. It does damage to everyone based off of how many players are at a particular number of stacks. You can see here are the groups that I've assigned, plus the external CDs. It was a small raid group. That's, what, 18 people? So, yeah, it's a small raid group here. With bigger raid groups, you want to clear more things. Cleansing Pain is a frontal from the boss. Here's the Ravage. You can see, actually, we have the Warlock Gate planned for that first one, and some people took it too early, which isn't good. You could potentially, I think, bait Ravage the wrong way, which would be bad. You'd be taking Warlock Gate into a Ravage instead of out of it then. And kind of just mess up your route, and you don't want to have to deal with that. Cleansing Pain is very dangerous. These ads that it spawns in, they channel an AoE, which does a lot of damage, and you've got those Night Hunters as well. You just have to have people help soaking the lines, kind of split your raid half and half to soak those lines to split the damage. Otherwise, it would one-shot the person targeted. Blood Price does knock you back, so if you're going to be in the group going in, you do want to be make sure that you're knocked into the wall, and then it's easy for you to soak the the Cleansing Pain when it does it. You can spread out a little bit. I mean, you can kind of stack in as well, right? Because we're using things like AMZ. With Rally, you can be spread, but with the AMZ and with the Link, it's kind of good actually to be inside of those if you can to help mitigate some of that damage. That's like a min-maxy thing. We're using a Wind Rush for the second one. The idea here of these Cleansing Pains, again, I'm just going to pause it really fast here because we're almost out of Phase 1. He phases at about 70.6% or 5% or so. So to manage your Burden of Sins, what you can do, right, because the Blood Price is quite dangerous. If I go back to, where's our second Blood Price here? Okay, here's Blood Price. So you can see for this, the first Blood Price, we had the raid pretty much split half and half. For this one here, we've got 5 people at 5 stacks, 3 people at 4, 7 at 3, and 3 at 2. So we've got a fairly even spread. There's a few too many at 3. It might be nicer to have one of those at 4 and one of those at 2. But it's not a huge deal. But it's just having that rough spread, which is sort of the idea of the groups. So I essentially had Group 1 be taking nearly all of these, like 1-1-1 in a row. So Group 1 is just going to be rapidly shuffled down to as low as they can possibly go. Group 2 is going to go with Group 1 first. So Group 1 so essentially for the first Blood Price, which is after the first Cleansing Pain, Group 1 and 2 will be at 4 stacks. You start at 5 on Heroic, and Groups 3 and 4 will be at 5. So the raid sort of split half and half for the Blood Price. For the second one, Group 1's going to go down, and for this one here, Group 1 has gone down to 2. It's gone down to 2 stacks because we've dropped another 2. Group 3 should be down to 4 stacks, and Group 2 should have been hit by 2 Cleansing Pains and will be down to 2 to 3 stacks, roughly along those lines. The goal is to push him before the third Blood Price if you can. If you have to go afterwards, then you have to go afterwards. It does get a bit tricky there, though, because you want to be going into the Intermission, which we reached before the third Blood Price. We reach it right after the 5th Cleansing Pain. And in the Intermission, you have to run. In fact, I'll let it play through so you can see this in action. You have to get into the center of the room. You can get into the center of the room with 2 stacks. 2 stacks, you can make it in. Okay, with 1 stack, you make it in with a good bit of extra time. So one of the little things that we did was we made sure we had our paladin. I think he's at 3 stacks. I don't think he makes it. And our two priests should be going in with 1 stack actually. After the 5th one, we should be down to 1 stack. We get in very quickly, so you can use Blessing of Freedom. We can use Priest Leap of Faith, the Priest Grip, to get players into the center. Death Knights and Shaman can go in at 5 stacks. Ghost Wolf and was it Death's March or whatever it's called lets you just walk in. You're totally fine. As you can see from our glowy Spirit Bros here, if you are a Night Fae, you can get in totally fine with your Soul Shape at 3 stacks. So obviously Hunters should be Night Fae, your Mages should be Night Fae, your Druid should be Night Fae, so you got loads of options there. I think Druids can also make it in just about in cat form. Not sure if they need feral affinity for it, but I think they can make it in as well. So there's a few different tricks for getting in there. And again, you can use priest grips. I think on Mythic, you're going to want to have a fairly rough spread and, have priest grip in, or use freedoms on people with 4 stacks. Have the Night Fae kind of look after themselves at 3 stacks. Have a few Shaman and Death Knights at 5 stacks. And so on. So have your team roughly spread, because I think you will get the 3 blood prices on Mythic. But Heroic, try to skip that 3rd one. You're going to have a good time. You kind of need good DPS to, if you're going to be killing the boss, I think you're probably going to have enough DPS to beat that 3rd blood price is kind of the way I look at it. Phase 2, actually. Let's watch, come back here. So Phase 2, we come in. Cool. We're dropping in here. Phase 2 isn't too bad. There's only, I think, one particularly tricky thing about Phase 2. Which is when you kill the ads, it makes a bunch of swirlies. So there's just a lot of personal responsibility in terms of dodging mechanics in this. There's going to be lines coming across the floor to dodge. There's swirlies that spawn in at semi-random times to dodge. It's whenever you kill ads. So what we did, Denathrius does a frontal attack that puts a debuff on everything it hits to increase their damage. So have him just use that frontal on the 2 melee ads, pick him off. For us, you can see this is actually really bad for me as a Shadow Priest. I'm hard focusing this. Shadow Priest is good single target damage, but losing out on Void Bolt extending dots on the 4 stacked up targets there really hurts DPS, but it's kind of necessary in the end. Try kill off that first one before the Hand of Destruction. With Hand of Destruction, he sucks you in. You're going to walk through a mirror. Here's actually one thing that I pretty instantly noticed, right? This is something that I tried to fix when we killed him again this week, which was that people move through this mirror, right? So you move through the mirror, which teleports you to the other side of the room to avoid the Hand of Destruction explosion. People run really far into this room, which you really don't need to do. In fact, by running further into the room, you're actually running closer to that Hand of Destruction explosion, which isn't good. You don't want to be near that explosion. Now, that doesn't really matter too much, but it does mean you're going to go back through the mirror afterwards. So when you go back through, you've got further to run. You're wasting time running in, and then you're making yourself waste more time running back out again. The best thing to do is be like this. Just walk in, stay close to the mirror, and then there's going to be this... In fact, I think there is an impale going on right now. So go through the mirror, you step a little bit, and then just stop. Look, step through and stop. Super chill, right? Then there's going to be this impale timer here. The impale is one of the trickier mechanics here, I guess, as well. But basically, the sword picks 3 players, and they should, with your boss mod, say 1, 2, and 3 above their head, and it will dash to them in that order. 1, 2, 3. So, I mean, the perfect thing to do, really, with this thing is you come through the mirror. Hermornia is here. Okay, great. 3 people get marked with impale. They come, 1 person stands here. 1, 2, 3, something like that. And the sword just goes do, do, do. The rest of the raid is just over here. Nobody gets hit. It's really easy for them to drop it. What are these people doing over here? I don't know. They're off on holidays over there. And yeah, you're just standing here and you can go back through. We actually did struggle with tanks, I think, initially when we were progressing this, because people really weren't comfortable with the movement. They're moving too far. I think people were getting hit by the impales. So the healers were probably not moving efficiently, or they're moving too slow through the mirror or something like that. So they didn't have as good healing throughput. There's extra damage coming through from people getting hit by stuff. So we actually had some troubles with some tank deaths here coming through the mirror, I think due to tactical misplays. So that affected it, and that actually kind of made us stay on this side of the mirror a bit longer. Honestly, once this impale happens, in fact, right now, once I see that I'm not being chosen for impale, I could, if I wanted, just go back through and start working on the ad. Like, the explosion has gone off. It's totally cool. We're sort of waiting here. Let the healers keep the tank stable for that Racking Pain. Let the boss cast Racking Pain on that side. And as you can see, loads of time here to come on through. And I'm even over here getting some dots and stuff on the ads before this massacre happens. So you're just dodging these lines. Don't kill the ad during the massacre. This is I think the trickiest part for us, which is if you look at that ad health, right? So when this ad dies, it spawns swirlies under everyone's feet a few seconds later, right? And if you get hit by that swirly, not only does it do damage, but it knocks you back. Here's the thing, right? You've got this Hand of Destruction timer coming in 5 seconds. That's going to suck us all in, right? So if the ad dies, the swirlies spawn under melee, and then we just get auto-sucked in by the boss for Hand of Destruction. We all get sucked in, and we basically land on top of the boss at the same time as those swirlies come in. Bam, everyone gets hit and knocked away, and you're in trouble. And it might even happen here. So you can see with this, it's like, there's quite a bit of DPS still going into that. The dots finish it. Yeah, cheeky lava burst going in there. Not too hot. But yeah, so we just about made it through, but definitely be careful with that. You can let stuff die to dots. Stuff will die to dots like we have. I didn't even bother putting my dots back on there because it was so close to dying. But with most compositions, you know, you're probably going to have... We have an Affliction Warlock. We've got 2 Balance Druids. We have a Shadow Priest. That's quite a lot of dot damage that is going to be rolling on those ads. And we'll sort of, you know, we'll finish them off. You don't have to fully secure the kill. You can delay it or you can push it faster, but just try to not have that land during Hand of Destruction. We come through here, we get the second set of ads, and this was actually the adjustment that we did that let us beat the fight consistently, which is you get these 4 ads. It's a fairly tough DPS check to kill all 4 ads and to push Denathrius to 40% before this third set of ads spawns, right? That's quite challenging. And as you can see, stage 3 automatically starts at 1 minute 50 from this particular time, but we had too much damage to really do that, right? So it was just too awkward. He would phase early, and what we found was that he would often be phasing with all of the ads from this third set up. So what we did instead, you can see here we're handling the Impale, 1, 2, 3, cool. Standing in the Rancor to put dots on for a bit of greedy DPS. What we actually switched to doing was, again, just focus on killing the 2 melee ads, get some damage on this left ranged ad, but not a massive priority. The priority is pushing Denathrius. You can see we're actually going to kill him. Here we go. This is a bit sketchy with those swirlies. Yeah, look at this. Here we go. Perfect example. Probably shouldn't have been pushing him there. Pop Dispersion for move speed. Good Windrush to save us. So that is exactly the sort of thing you want to avoid. But here we go. We've pushed him into phase 3. We actually killed that. I think it was the first and only time we kill that left ad. It usually doesn't die that quickly. But bring him in. Have the left ad fairly low. And then you can finish off the left-hand ad. And then just swap and burn down the ad on the right instead. They're going to teleport across, right? So this is, we found, the nicest way to deal with this. In this case, there's no left ad. We just stack Denathrius up with this final ad, and you want to kill it off. It's pulsing some raid damage, and I think it reduces the healing your raid receives as well. So it's a little bit nasty. Now, stage 3 is quite difficult, actually. It's more like, I would say, a mythic phase than a typical heroic fight, right? It's certainly harder than a lot of the mythic bosses, I would say, or sort of on an equal level to some of those sort of low to mid-tier mythic bosses for sure. You've got a number of mechanics that are happening through this. Shattering Pain, which we just had, is going to hit the tanks really hard. It's also going to knock everyone away from Denathrius, so you want to be playing around that. He still does the Hands of Destruction as well, which sucks everyone in, then places the big bomb that you have to run away from. So for this first one, it's not too bad. And you're sort of finishing off the ad at the time, and then you get this Fatal Finesse. So 3 players are going to be marked with these big circles. It's going to do damage to anyone who's standing in them. Watch the swirls, obviously. And once these explode, you're going to see that they leave behind these 3 different seeds, and you have to really, really, really prioritize soaking these seeds. Smoldering Ire. 8.3 seconds left in this right now. If any of these seeds are still alive in 8.3 seconds, it will explode and pretty much wipe the raid. You have to shrink the seeds by standing in them, and it does some damage. And this is why this first one is actually quite difficult, right? Because we've just placed those seeds, we've just started to soak. Hand of Destruction is in 3.5 seconds, which means we're going to be sucked in underneath the boss. So you're going to lose a whole lot of soaking time. So you'll see what we did for it. You'll see over here, Nafiro Windrush. There we go. Windrush under the boss. Zoom us out. Mages can ice block to stop them being sucked in, that sort of thing. We run out. Spirit Link to stabilize everyone. You can see how chunked the raid gets from that. It's quite dangerous. And at this point, team actually forgot to Bloodlust. We've got... I guess the problem is, you know, it's like that, the thing that happens, you know, when someone is like hurt on the street, if there was just one person on the street, let's say there's like two or three of you walking down the street and someone falls over and gets hurt, you probably rush over to help them straight away. But if there's like 20 people on the street, everyone just sort of stands there watching. I think we've got like 3 mages, we've got three shaman that are able to bloodlust, and none of them do it. So I think it's sort of that phenomenon. Anyway, I think bloodlusting at this particular point is really good. It's going to help the healers stabilize the team. Also, you know, there's not much in terms of mechanics going on, right? There's a Shattering Pain, that's fine, you know, and then there's a Ravage in 10 seconds. So you've got quite a lot of time with not too much happening. You know, just a couple of these knockbacks, but it's pretty chill, to be honest with you. There's still, funny enough, a timer for stage 3. So this is the point to Bloodlust. This is also about, let me see, we're 5:29 into the video. So when do we phase through? Yeah, so like phase 2 starts at like 2. It's like 2 minutes 30, and you can see if we go through here, we're talking here, boom, boom, boom. This is coming up to about 5 minutes 30, so it's about 3 minutes after the start of that second phase. So people could have their CDs saved. Certainly your 3-minute CDs are going to be coming back. I've got Void Form back. So you get sort of the rough gist. You can certainly sync stuff up for that. I think this actually is just my second Void Form. I don't know if I got another one in here anyway. Doesn't really matter. But it's a good point to Bloodlust. You can see the Ravage just walk out of it. Super easy. Then the next step of this, you're going to have a knockback, and then you're going to have 2 sets of seeds, like right in a row. Not too bad. You're going to place 1 set of seeds around the back. This is why it's important as well to have lots of ranged and not very many melee. So you place these at the back, start helping to soak them. You're going to get another set of these seeds, put them essentially in a line then in front of the first set, and then just people finish soaking the first set, they just step forward into the next set and soak those up as well. Pretty easy peasy, right? This next part is, I think, again, another pretty difficult overlap, though. We're going to have Massacre, which is all the lines on the floor with seeds at the same time. So just have your guys with the seeds try to run a little bit further back so that you're not going to drop the Massacre on top of people, and then have people just go and insta-soak them. I suspect on Mythic you might want to be a bit more efficient with this, just in terms of getting good boss damage while you are soaking. But for us, there's more priority on getting the seeds soaked, and you're going to be good. Hand of Destruction, Roar to move people away. You're going to get a bunch of seeds as well. So this is actually pretty scary. Quite a bit of incoming raid damage. They should really be stacked up. Essentially, what you want to do here is you want to create like a Venn diagram, like a triangle, right? You want to create like a triangle. So if we come across, so this is actually reasonably okay. This one should be dropped like right here, so that none of them are actually touching each other. They're not going to hit each other with their circle, but they're stacked as close as possible. And then you drop like an AMZ to cover all 3, just to help with soaking. And also just protect these guys with this debuff from the explosion, because as you can see, they go really, really low, like 20% health. It's quite scary. And then it's also very easy to soak those. So use the knockback to get out. I don't know if you guys can hear this in the background, but as I'm saying, use the knockback to get a Ravage. So we've got the pizza slice coming in. The boss is also channeling his knockback. Cool. Thanks, boss. Thanks for helping. What you're just going to do, just do damage, right? We're just blasting, and he's going to knock you out of that, and you just like step a little bit out at the end. Fantastic. Get loads of damage for free. The boss is helping you to kill him. He's going to suck us in. This is also, again, the final nasty overlap. Those seeds, again, soak them before you're sucked in. But look at this. You got the Hand of Destruction explosion going off. You don't have much space. As you can see, though, for us, the boss is almost dead. I'm just tunneling the boss here and get knocked off the edge. Get knocked off the edge. But yeah, there you are, guys. That was it's looking at Sire Denathrius, right? It's looking at Sire Denathrius. So again, going through the fight, dropping your stacks, try to split up the groups so that the stacks, I actually need to get a new PC. Look at this, it's fucking terrible. I need to buy myself a new PC to make better quality video. It's really poor. Anyway, yeah, have your stacks roughly split for these blood prices so you don't get completely chunked. Like Death Knights and Shaman can go at 5 stacks. You can have your Night Fae going at 3 stacks. You can exploit it a bit, use prescripts to sort of spread people out. You can drop more people earlier as well, bearing in mind all the DPS will have their CDs blasting for that first set of ads. They'll like instantly evaporate like the fire mages alone, but then you also have marksmanship hunters with the Night Fae ability. You know, balanced druids are going to be rocking Starfall. Like these ads will absolutely just evaporate. Poof, they're gone. You don't even need to worry about them. Get through it. Yeah, and then in stage 2, kill off the melee ads nice and quick, dodge the swirls, put the sword lines off to the sides, and yeah, try not to kill those ranged ads overlapping these Hand of Destruction casts, or you're going to have a bad time. Coming on in through then, push them into phase 3. You can leave the ranged ads up for phase 3 and finish them off. And yeah, then again, like I said, I feel like the difficult part, 'cause this is the thing that's actually mostly different from normal, presuming you've done normal, is stage 3. Stage 3 is certainly pretty tough. This is the tough part of the fight, but it is entirely scripted. The same stuff happens in the same order every single time. So just get a few pulls into it, have a good idea of what you're doing. These movement CDs are absolutely massive, and these externals, Hand of Destruction, this is the big thing to avoid. Look how much damage that is. It's absolutely terrifying, right? So getting those Hands of Destruction clean, and you're going to be good. And yeah, I think that's really most of it. You know, for me as the raid lead in this particular thing, if you watch that video on Patreon, you'll see I'm trying to like talk people through mentioning some of the movement CDs, but also, you know, going, okay, we're going to be knocked back here, pretty chill. Knocked back, we're going to have double seeds coming up next. Use the knockback to get out of the Ravage. Okay, try to stack up these seeds. Moving to soak these seeds as soon as possible. Just kind of giving people guidance and where to go and helping them. That can be really, really, really useful here to getting through this nice and clean. So there you are. Let me know if this was helpful or interesting. Look at that. See that? See how they place those seeds? That's how you would want to place those seeds. When I was talking about it over there with the AMZ, that would be the spot. That'd be the spot after that second hand. That's exactly what you want to do. Have them in this little triangle. That's pretty nice. Yeah. What I will probably end up doing, I may end up doing some of these sorts of videos for some of the mythic bosses if people are interested. I know that though, whereas hopefully a lot of people will be aiming to kill Sire Denathrius on heroic. That's gonna be a really popular thing, and maybe this will be interesting or useful. I suspect probably not as many people at all obviously are going to be doing mythic, or certainly mythic Sire Denathrius, so maybe it'll still be an interesting video. I might do it just, you know, so people can learn more about the raid and how to think about it and look at it and plan it a little bit. But yeah, we'll see. Guys, though, hope you had a good 2020. I'll see you next year. Bloody see you next year, mate. See you next year. All right, I'll see you guys. Bye-bye.